Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. This is Flosstube number 128. Today is December 12th, 2024, and I have an update for you. It's been about a month since my last regular Flosstube. I did release a special edition Flosstube where I showed 89 finishes, fully finished objects. You may have seen that video. It did quite well. It was quite popular. And thank you so much for all of the amazing compliments and the warm reception for that video. I had a lot of fun doing it. If you haven't seen it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go look at my last video. I went through my bin of shame, my bin full of finished stitching that I hadn't actually fully finished, whether that was framing or making it a pillow or a flat fold or some kind of finish where the object is then ready to be displayed. I had almost 100 or so, and I fully finished most of them. 25 of them are on this tree right here because I finished my Laurel Witch Advent, Christmas Advent. So there were 25 of those little finishes I had to do. But anyway, thank you so much for, I know a lot of people reached out and said they really enjoyed that video. And I had so much fun making that video. It was a lot of work. It was exhausting, but it was very, very rewarding. So as you can probably imagine, I haven't been super excited to fully finish more things since that video because I'm a little burnout. But believe it or not, I have fully finished a couple of things simply because I have to, because they are gifts. So let me show you what I finished stitching and what I have fully finished since my last video. So first up, the most exciting finish, I finished a baby sampler for my new niece who's coming in January. And this is, I showed this as a work in progress in my last video, but I actually got it done and framed just in time because I'm leaving tomorrow for the baby shower. This is Country Cottage Needleworks, Welcome to the Forest. And I did make one little modification. The actual, the full pattern includes one extra row here. So there's the top block, and then there are 6 smaller square blocks. The additional row features 2 cottages. Very cute, but I just wasn't super drawn to those. So I just cut that row out. So if you go look up this series, you will see 2 more patterns for the series, but I chose to leave those off, and I think it came out so cute. I did use most of the called for colors. Well, that's not entirely true. I used a few of the called for colors. The ones I did not have, I substituted something from Stash, as close as I could. So I did use, I stuck with the intention of the colors. I don't think I changed anything drastically. I think the biggest change I made was my green. I maybe brightened that up a little bit. But otherwise I used what was called for. This is a fabric that I dyed myself. It's like a 34 count. I used 2 strands, and I also made a modification here in the banner. Is the original pattern says Welcome to the Forest, so I modified that to put the baby's name. But other than that, I didn't change a whole lot. And I ordered a frame for this, got this framed and ready to go. I even put backing paper on, which I never do. I should do, but I never do. So this is very professional. Anyway, I'm really happy with this. I think it came out so cute, and I cannot wait to go visit family tomorrow and gift that to the expecting parents. So what else did I finish? Oh, I fully finished 3 things, come to think of it. I think I said 2, but there's actually 3. So this is something I have been meaning to fully finish for months and months and months. This is Hello from Liz Matthews Berry Patch, except for I did not stitch the whole thing. So all of this is just as charted, but there's more to the pattern. Like there's a border. I think it's like a daisy border, and I didn't want to stitch that. So I just stitched the part I wanted to stitch. And then I was like, you know, that'd be kind of cute just like that. This is actually a gift from my friend. And I think I think this was a mystery scrap of linen. I have no idea what it is, but it's just a nice neutral linen. I think it's a 40 count. And I did not use the called for colors. I think I subbed in color and cotton floss, but I kept the color, like the tone, the same. I didn't make any drastic changes. I just didn't use what was called for, which might have just been DMC or NPI. I finished this into a needle book. So it was kind of just sitting around for a long time waiting for me to get inspired on how to finish it. And I finally, so there's like a little pocket here and a pocket here. And then this piece, this felt here and a couple of decorative pins. So I did use, I finished this exactly the same way as the Raven needle book from Lindy Stitches. I used that same tutorial to finish this. I just made a little change of adding ribbon here so that I could close the needle book. And I made a little change, like hers is one stitched piece and I only had the one stitch piece, so I sewed the back piece here. But otherwise I just used the tutorial that I had recently followed when I was finishing the Raven needle book. So that is a fully finished. I can finally send that off. It came out really cute. I'm very happy with that. So that is Berry Patch by Hello from Liz Matthews. I also stitched and finished an ornament. I stitched this 4 times. So I did one for myself, and then I stitched 3 as presents for a friend group. Those are going out in the mail today. So some of you may see this before you receive. You'll probably know it's for you, but maybe not. Maybe it will still be a surprise. This is a pattern from Beverly Street Shop on Etsy. It's called Christmas Homer Hedge. And so this is a meme that is, or a reaction GIF that's used quite often. And it's Homer like backing into the bush. It has been made a little bit more festive for Christmas with the addition of like some holiday lights. And yeah, I stitched this 4 times. Like I said, this is, it didn't take that long to stitch, but longer than you might think. So it was an effort. And I kind of like doubted myself on choosing to do this 4 times, but I persevered. They're all finished the same. I glued some paper to the back. And oh, the fabric is it's either a 28 count or a 32 count. It's just an old, like really old fabric I found at the thrift store, but it's like you know, like an old Zweigart, just like a solid color green. It was just the perfect color for this pattern. And then DMC floss. A lot of backstitch, which was really annoying, but necessary because it does elevate the ornament. And then I glued rickrack around the hoop, made a little hanger. I think it came out great. I love it. So I finished this 4 times. I'm not going to show you all 4 because they're identical. Okay, and then I have one more finish. I did not fully finish this, unfortunately. I wanted to, I couldn't. I'm trying to get ready for my trip tomorrow. I've got a lot going on. So I didn't have time to fully finish this, but I did stitch it. So this is a stocking. It was in the Christmas issue of Just Cross Stitch for this year. It used to be just the Christmas ornament issue, but now I think it features more than just ornaments. Or maybe that's the Halloween issue. I don't know. It's the Just Cross Stitch Christmas issue. And this is Snowflake Stocking by my friend Marissa. She's Mkissa Creations. And I just knew I wanted to stitch this as soon as I saw it because it's adorable. So, and it was a really quick stitch. It calls for 2 colors. I did not have the 2 colors, so I substituted something from Stash that I think looks about the same. So let me show you how hers turned out. And you'll see mine is very similar. So here's her little stocking. So cute. And she used Gentle Arts Huckleberry and Bluebell, which I did not have either one of those. So I used, no, not Gentle Arts. I used Classic Colorworks Blueberry Tart. That's all I have left, one strand. Not because of the stocking. It's actually not a lot in the stocking. I just didn't have much left. So I used Blueberry Tart and Key Largo. And I think I got a very similar look to Marissa's stocking. So, there's that. This was a piece of scrap fabric. I think it's 28 count. I can't remember. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But it's just a nice beigey neutral. This is so cute. I wish I had time to actually get it sewn into a stocking, and it's not going to take long. I just haven't been able to do it yet. I'm sorry. It's not, it will probably be like, once I do it, it'll be like a 5-minute project. Okay. So those are my finishes. So as you can see, even though I didn't want to, I did fully finish 3 more things, and hopefully I'll get to that stocking, but I don't know when, because I will not be here for the rest of the month. So it's not going to be this Christmas season. Okay. I worked on a few things. Also, kind of holiday-ish. I think that's what I've wanted to work on. So that's what I've worked on. So I did a little bit of work on my own pattern. This is Holiday Rooster from Hemlock Rye Stitchery. This is the only thing I've released that has not been fully model stitched ahead of release. There were reasons for that at the time, but it's now shameful that I haven't finished this. And so I told myself I was going to try to get it done this year, but other stuff came up, and unfortunately I am not going to be finishing it this year. It's not that it's not an insignificant amount of stitching, but it's not like so much stitching that you would never finish this. It's absolutely finishable. Many people have finished this and finished it when it was released. I just haven't had time to get to it. I fully believe I could finish this in a week or so if I could just dedicate the time. So anyway, this is I'm over halfway. I am over halfway done. This is Holiday Rooster. It is stitched with 2 colors of Classic Colorworks. The colors are Mistletoe is the green, and the red is Bandana. And the fabric is a 40 count Fox and Rabbit in the color Eureka, which is this gorgeous neutral gold. And yeah, this is really fun to stitch. It's very satisfying. It's very, very pretty. I need to get this finished. I really thought this year was going to be the year, but it got away from me, so it's not going to be finished this year. But at least I did something on it. I did get some progress on it, right? It's not languishing completely unworked on. I wanted to make it like a 1 strand a day or a 30-minute a day project, and that just hasn't happened. So not because I don't like stitching on it. It just hasn't happened. Okay. I started, this is a new start from my last video. I started And To All a Good Night by Blackbird Designs. Now this is my working copy because this chart is precious. This chart is valuable. It sells for over $100 on eBay, and I don't want to damage the chart. So this is my working copy, but this is what it looks like. And it stitches up really quick. It's actually quite a small design. It is 61 wide by 184 high. excuse me. So it's actually like a really quick stitch. I am stitching mine on 32 count. Picture this plus. I believe this color is Relic. I believe it's this gorgeous gold, but this is from like 2017 or 2018. So I have no idea if it still looks like this. It was so long ago that I got this piece of fabric. But here's my start. So I started at the bottom center and I'm working up. And this was really, really fun to stitch. I am using some of the called for, but I am also making substitutions, but keeping the same like spirit of the color palette. I'm not doing anything drastic. It's just that I didn't have some of the called for colors, and then some of them I did have, but the dye lots have changed so much that they did not look the same. They didn't look quite right. So I made substitutions, but like I said, the spirit of the original is there. Like one of the things I changed was the white. Mine, it was the called for, but it was very yellow and it was really getting lost on my fabric. So I just like picked a brighter white. But yeah, that is where I'm at on this. It's really fun. It's because it's 32 count. This is going to be a great travel project. And also because I'm just doing like fill in now. I've got to fill in all the brick on both sides, do some window fill in. And then when I get to the roof, there's a lot of fill in. So this is going to be a good travel project. And, this is coming together really quick, and I had a lot of fun stitching what I have stitched so far. This was actually really fun to stitch. I'm very happy with how this is coming out. What else do I have? Ooh, another new start. So I did get to start the tree medley by Shaded Stitchery. Nuri is the designer of Shaded Stitchery, and I loved this pattern as soon as I saw it. It's just really fun and different collection of Christmas trees. And it's not a lot of stitching. I only got to work on this for 2 days. I got a really good start. This would be easily finishable if I could just like get back to it. And maybe I will try. Maybe I will get back to it this month. So tree medley, there are like a million French knots down in this cactus. I'm a little trepidatious about getting to that, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Now, Nuri charted this with Roxy Floss from Evertote. Well, from Carrie, the dyer of Roxy Floss, which you can purchase through Evertote. It calls for many colors. I did have, I don't know, like I had half of them maybe. So I pulled the ones I had, and then I put substitutions for the ones I didn't have. Some of my substitutions were Roxy Floss that I had in stash that looked like close. And then just whatever I had in stash that was close. So this is how far I got on Tree Medley. This fabric is a 32 count Lugana from Be Stitch Me, and the color is Tombstone. I thought I know it's called Tombstone, but it just had like this wintry vibe to me, like kind of like a cold, blustery winter day. And I thought it would work well for this pattern. I do think it works well. I'm very happy with how it's looking. So yeah, there is my start on Tree Medley. Hopefully I can get back to this, but no promises. I am traveling for the next 2 weeks, and I do have a lot of stitching picked for travel. But this would be a good one because it's 32 count Lugana, so it's nice and easy to see. So speaking of Be Stitch Me fabric and silk is so lovely. And I have had the pleasure of visiting the Be Stitch Me store. It is in Moline, Illinois, which is like the Quad City area. And it just so happens to be right off of the interstate that we have to take to get to my mother-in-law's house. And so I was able to visit once last year when we were visiting her, and then we're going to visit her for Christmas. And so I will be stopping in one more time, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. So if you see me at Be Stitch Me, say hi. I'm gonna be there next Friday, I believe, the 20th, after lunch. So not saying like make a special trip, but if you just happen to be by, like, come say hi to me. Okay, so what else? Oh, I've got one more new start. I can't remember. I just like woke up and I was like, I need to start a Carolyn Manning today. This has happened to me before. They're so easy to start because they're just DMC and like whatever fabric, or, you know, simple. They're full coverage, so you don't need like fancy fabric for it. I like to stitch mine on 14 count plastic canvas because they're full coverage, and then they're just very easy to stitch on this for me. And so I was like, I need to start a Carolyn Manning. I want to start one that's like wintry. So I found a pattern called A Celebration of Polar Bears. It's from the Shooting Star collection. So it features one really big, beautiful pattern. And then it comes with 4 smaller patterns that coordinate, like same colors. So this is one of the 4 smaller ones. So this is as wide as it will be. So it's a square pattern. It's gonna be about that big. I think I got to, I want to say maybe like 40% done on this. So fun to stitch. I had to put it away to finish the baby sampler, but I was having so much fun stitching this. I love this palette. It's gorgeous. Let me show you the floss ring so you can see. It's definitely like a wintry, like a blustery wintry mix, but maybe not like the expected colors, but like these, you know, kind of icy blues, gray, like cool grays, not warm grays, you know, cool tone grays, and then some purples, which is really pretty. Ignore the pumpkin. That's not wintry, but that's just what I had. Yeah, so I'm loving this palette. I loved stitching on this, and I really felt like I could have just gone and got the finish, but I had to get the baby sampler done. But now that the baby sampler is done, maybe I can get back to this. I don't know. I love it. It's so pretty. I love stitching Carolyn Manning. I've said it before. I don't want to say I was a hater, but I was resistant to Carolyn Manning's for a long time because I thought I wouldn't enjoy. I thought maybe it wouldn't be fun for me to stitch because like full coverage and like repetition. I thought, oh, I don't know if I would like that. And then I finally tried one and I love stitching them because you get to change your color like before you get bored, but they're not hard because you're just following like simple, you know, triangles or diamonds. And so you don't have to do a ton of like counting or really like fiddly work. But you get to change your color, so it keeps it like fun and interesting. I find them very soothing and very fun to stitch. So if you've been eyeing a Carolyn Manning, like, I say go for it. They're so fun. And I actually really enjoy stitching them on plastic canvas. So, all right, I have one last thing to show. So this is not my project, but it is a part of a round robin that I'm in. So I am in a group called the Rogue Round. I think we're called the Rogue Round Robin Stitchers. We missed like the signups. We missed the boat for like the original Ink Circles Round Robin that was hosted by Julicious. And so we formed like a little breakaway group. So it's me, and we're all Flosstubers. So it's me, it's Julie and Stitches, it's Tara at Wild Woman Crafts, and Miriam at Marumi Designs. So I will link them all below. And we all have you know, picked a project and gotten it started. I think we're all like just about wrapped up or wrapping up. I've received mine back. I don't have it right here to show you. I'm sorry. I did Reflections of Scotland. It turned out so beautiful. And I've posted it on my Instagram if you want to see it. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. I think I did. I'll check. I'll put a picture in if I didn't. If I remember, I'll put a picture in. Anyway, I have the last rotation on Miriam's design. So she picked Victorian license. And so the way the round robin works is you divide the pattern into fourths and everybody stitches a fourth, and that way you don't have to sit and stitch the same thing over and over. You stitch your fourth on your design and then 3 other people finish it for you. You also stitch on other things too, to help them get their finish, but you don't have to sit and just stitch the same thing 4 times. So it's a very good way to tackle these ink circles. They're not necessarily hard to stitch. They're not most of them have taken me just like 1 or 2 days. It's just the repetitive nature. Maybe you wouldn't want to do that 4 times. So this pattern it calls for like a bunch of different colors, or it says like just pick one color and do a monochrome. So that's what Miriam did. She did a monochrome stitch on this. So this is hers. I'm almost done. I'm working on this quadrant down here. So you can see I've done like this little bit here, and I just have a little bit left here. This is an 18 count Ada. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think on her notes somewhere it said raspberry, but I don't know, like, I don't know where she got this fabric from. And the floss is a sulky 12 weight variegated floss. So it's just one floss, but it goes from this like really pretty, like pale green to peachy, into like a deep peach. It's very fun to stitch with, and it's very pretty. Like the variegation is just so smooth and subtle that you don't have to, you know, like with some variegated floss, you have to think really hard about where you're putting it so that it like matches up, and you don't have really abrupt, you know, you don't want it to go from like white to dark green without like a little transition. So you have to kind of like be strategic, right, as you're stitching. With this floss, you can definitely see the color variations, but it's so like gentle and subtle that you don't have to like think really hard about where you're putting it. You can just like stitch and it just works. It just looks good. So I've actually really enjoyed stitching with that, because the transitions they're not abrupt. So I don't have to be really precious about like where I'm starting and stopping. So I will finish this tonight, most likely. And then Miriam will have a finish. All right, so is that all my stitching? I think that's all my stitching. I'm not gonna go into like haul, but I'll just tell you, I did place an order with Bestitch Me on Small Business Saturday, the day after Black Friday. Brandy was doing a really good deal. It was like her silk was buy one, get one half off, and her silk is already like very affordable. For what you get. I think you get 10 yards and it's only $5, which for silk is very reasonable. So then to get one half off, like, so I kitted up, I kitted up 2 projects, that I had. One was, I bought a new pattern and kitted it up, and then I'd had a pattern for over a year and finally just got the floss for that. And then grabbed a couple of patterns. I didn't even think to leave them out. They've already been like put away. So I placed a little order with her. That was, I think, my only like real cross stitch shopping that I've done recently. So yeah, I think that's it for the stitching. So I'm gonna move into book talk. I always struggle with that. I'm going to talk about some books. So if you don't want to listen to about what I've been reading, like, I get it. It's fine. You can head out now. I'm not going to talk about stitching anymore. I'm just going to talk about books, and then I'm going to leave. So, all right, let's talk about some books. I've got quite a few. So I'm going to just try to kind of like, I'm going to try to go fast just because, all right. Okay, so I read 2 books from the same author. So Elizabeth O'Rourke is an author I've actually read from before. She has a whole bunch of books on Kindle Unlimited, and I read one of her books and like couldn't put it down, had a really great time with it, and like meant to read more, and just like hadn't gone back to it. And then I had like probably a year, maybe 2 years ago, I had downloaded a book that I'd heard was really good, and just never got around to it. So I was like trying to decide what to read. And I went and looked at like what has been sitting on my Kindle like the longest. And so I was like, all right, it's time. So the book was Waking Olivia. And I had heard it was really, really, really good. I expected it to be good. But for some reason, I just hadn't ever gotten around to reading it. So it is a like contemporary college romance. It's technically a sports romance, but it does not feel like super sporty because the female protagonist in the book is a cross-country runner. So the sports romance aspect is that she's a runner. So it's not like you're, you know, like a hockey romance or something like that. But anyway, this book was so good. I could not put it down. I was up until like 3 a.m. I could not stop reading it. I finally forced myself to stop. And then the next night I finished it, but I probably read to like the 75% mark in one night. And I absolutely could have finished the book if I had not like made myself stop. It was, I don't know what it was. It just like gripped me and I just could not stop reading this book. It's so good. There's a little bit of an element of mystery. There's like a forbidden romance aspect. There's some dark themes and it gets very emotional. The main character is like very standoffish and pushes people away, and the love interest, like, you know, finally breaks through. It was so good. I implore you to read this book if you are at all interested in like contemporary romance. It's so good. And now I know this author, like that's 2 books that I've read of hers that I just like could not put down. So I know like this is an author I want to read more of. So there is a second book called Drowning Erin, and this is like her, the main character from the first book. It's her best friend. Like it's her romance. So I did go ahead and read that. Also very, very good. Could not put down. Did not like it quite as much, but it was just a different type of story. The main character in this one was like quite a bit of a pushover, and so it was just very frustrating because I wanted to just be like, stop it, you know. So I try not to like hold it against characters when I don't like the characters that much. But the male love interest was also a freaking idiot for most of the book, so it was just both of them. I was just like, can you guys just get it together? But it was still very good. I still had a great time, but I did love the first one. Waking Olivia like was like shot to the top of like one of my, you know, all-time faves. I loved it. And I told one of my friends, Sarah, I was like, hey, if you're looking for something to read, like I just could not put this book down. I just finished it. It was so good. And so she was like, great, I just finished my book. And like, I think she downloaded and started that night. And she also like blew through it, couldn't put it down, and was like, it was so good. Like we totally agreed. So yeah, that was like a highlight for sure. Okay, so some books I read on Kindle Unlimited that were just, they were fine. I read The Coven and the Cursed. So this is 2 books that are out by Harper Woods. I'd seen these actually for sale, like at Target, and was like intrigued, but I wasn't sure if I should get them or not. And then I saw they were on Kindle Unlimited. I was like, oh, perfect. So I read the first one and like, it was fine. I wasn't wowed, but like, it was all right. And then I read the second one and the same thing. I was like, it's fine. It was good. And I thought it was just like a duology. So I just thought I'll just finish, you know, I'll just read the second one. I'll finish it out. Like it wasn't bad, but the second one is not a conclusion. Apparently there are more books coming, and I have to be honest, like I don't think I care enough to keep going with this series. But what it is it's a like a paranormal romance, I guess. There are witches and vampire-like creatures, and it's got like a school setting, like a college, a little bit of a dark academia vibe. But basically a witch has been hiding from like the knowledge of the coven. She is brought to the school to like learn and earn her place in her family's witchy like legacy, but she has like a secret agenda. She wants to take out the vampires because like there's this symbiotic relationship. It's all very like a little bit confusing, to be honest. Like the history is not really well explained. But anyway, there are vampires at the school. They have to like kind of help the vampires with feeding and stuff like that. And she doesn't agree or like that. She wants them gone. So she's got like a hidden agenda to like take out the vampires when she gets to this school. But of course she falls in love with one. Oh my God. So, I mean, it was just like, it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't bad. I just really wasn't like enthralled, and I was ready to be done with the second one. And so when it ended on a kind of a cliffhanger, I was like, you know, no, I'm good. I don't think I'll keep going with that. Maybe, I don't think the third one's out yet. Maybe I would pick it up, but I don't know. I do want to reiterate, like, I'm not like trashing it. Like, it was just, for me, it was like a 3-star series. Like, it wasn't blowing me away. Okay, so I read Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in her series, I think. The third one just came out, and I thought that was it, but now I think there's going to be a fourth one, and then I think she's done. But anyway, this is a series set in a small town in, is it Montana or Wyoming? I think it's Wyoming. Meadowlark. I'm pretty sure it's Wyoming. Yeah, it's Wyoming. Okay. Anyway, it's a small town in Wyoming. And it's set on this beautiful ranch, and it's like kind of like all the kids are now adults, and they're still like connected to the ranch, and it's like they're each getting their love story. And the first one, done and dusted, I very much enjoyed. It was very good. So I bought the next two in the series, and they've been great. I loved this. Again, a contemporary romance, a little bit of a cowboy, like ranch kind of vibe, but they're not like super like Western feeling by any means. But yeah, this one was great. I have a bunch of books to talk about. I realize I'm kind of gabbing a little bit much. I need to keep it moving. Love this. Okay. I'm most excited for the third book because it features like the couple in the third book. They're introduced in the first, and you can tell there's like, they don't like each other, but you can tell there's like chemistry there. So, and in the second book, like they're still like butting heads, and you know, it's going to be like kind of an enemies to lovers. I'm excited about it. Okay. So then I read, Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa. This is a young adult, retelling of Pride and Prejudice with a queer trans bent. So there is a series of these books. It's like classic books retold through a queer lens. And so there are several different ones, but this one had immediately caught my attention when I it wasn't even out yet, and it was like already on my radar, and the cover is beautiful, so that drew my eye as well. But this was so cute and sweet. So it's a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but the character that in the original is Elizabeth Bennet, and this one is a trans man. Obviously could not be open and out in like Regency England. So Oliver is only out to like a few very close friends and family. And in this retelling, Oliver meets Darcy, like has snuck out of the house as himself, and like meets Darcy, and they form a friendship, and it develops into a romance. And yeah, it was very low stakes, despite like it sounds like a very, you know, serious, fraught, dire situation, which it historically probably would have been. But what was really nice was this author was like, no, we're not gonna make this like a drama suffering like tale. Like it's hopeful, it's sweet, it's romantic. They get their happy ending. Like it was very nice. It was really quick and easy to read, and just actually like really fun. So I had a really good time with that one. Okay, so then I read, let me see what else I have down here. I saw that happening and went, that's happening. Okay, I read You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This was a romance that came out a year or two ago, and I didn't get around to it then because you can see like the cover, it's fall, very fall vibes. But actually a lot of this book just takes place in the fall winter, and there is a very epic New Year's Eve scene twice in this book. So I really feel like it would be good this time of year. Christmas into New Year's, very good. If you are intrigued by this book. So this is a When Harry Met Sally retelling, basically. I mean, the author says in the back like that was her favorite movie and she wanted to like pay tribute to it. So it's not like pretending it's not. It is a When Harry Met Sally inspired modern day retelling. I believe that the author also wrote Reylo fan fiction, which is Rey and Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars. That's a whole thing. If you weren't aware, I've never read Reylo fanfic, but apparently it's like a whole thing. And Allie Hazelwood, that was her thing. That's how she got into traditional publishing. Anyway, so think of this as Kylo Ren and Rey, I guess. But anyway, I love this book. So it's a contemporary romance, and it's just two really messed up people. Like they're both really bad at relationships, and they both desperately need therapy. And they meet and they don't have like a good start to like their relationship, but they keep bumping into each other and they eventually form a friendship. And they've both been like dumped and are just absolutely heartbroken when they reconnect again. And they're kind of like, okay, like you get what I'm going through, like let's hang out. Like I don't want to date right now. I don't want love. I don't want romance, but like I cannot deal with like the real world right now. So they like take comfort in each other. Of course, like feelings grow and it becomes more, but they both like still haven't really addressed like what's really wrong with them. So obviously like the relationship is like super messy, but they get it together. They get it together by the end because it's a romance, so you get your happy ending. But I really had a good time with this. I found the characters to be like really relatable, even though it was frustrating. Like what they did made sense. Like you didn't want them to do what they were doing. Like you're like, no, don't do that. You're gonna like ruin everything. But like you see why they did it, and for their character it makes absolute sense. But you're like, no, but you get the happy ever after. So it was really good. I love that one. If that sounds good, it's a good time of year to read that. Like I said, the cover screams fall, but lots of New Year's Eve scenes in that book. Okay, so I read this cute little romance. I found this like at Walmart in the little like Hallmark area. So because you can see it's not like a regular size paperback. It's one of the little like mass market ones. So this is Snowed In for Christmas by Jacqueline Snow, and I thought it sounded cute. It's the main female character is a like a house mom for a sorority on campus, and then the male is the football coach. And so they're neighbors, and they like have a bad date, and like he ghosts her. So she's like, what is his problem? And then like 2 years later, they end up snowed in a blizzard. Like all the students have gone home, but they're both still on campus, and they have to, whatever. Like her heat goes out. She has to hunker down at his house. And he's like, wow, I really screwed up 2 years ago, because like this woman is amazing. So he has to grovel a little bit. And it was very cute. It wasn't like, it wasn't like amazing, best thing I've ever read, but like it was really fun to read, easy to read. I had a good time with it. It was a very, very cute holiday romance, and spicy, quite spicy. Okay, so so I'm trying to get through some of these books on my shelf that I have had forever and haven't read. And so these aren't all like holiday books because I'm just trying to get through some. So I kind of like just look at my library and see what they have on audio because I can read those faster. And so as those come up, I'm like trying to get rid of some of these off my shelf. So this is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I have all 3 books in this series. I've heard they're all 3 very, very good. And I just hadn't gotten around to reading them. So my library had this on audio, perfect. So this is a contemporary romance. This is a really interesting story because the main character, Stella, is autistic. And so she is very successful in her career. She's very driven. She's very educated, and she can't like get the personal like relationships aspect down. And she's had like some really awkward, like terrible sexual encounters. And she's like, I just don't know how to do this. Like, I need help. So she hires a male escort, like to basically just like teach her how to be like in a romantic relationship. But of course, like, it's like, you know, I was gonna say it's like Pretty Woman, but it's really not. But yeah, they develop feelings and whatnot. It was very good. I felt like it was really respectfully done with the representation of the autism, but I don't know that I could be like the person to judge that, but it felt to me like it was researched and respectful. And yeah, I mean, this book it's been out a few years now, but it was very popular when it came out. And it was great. It was great. I said I was not going to talk as much, and I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. I forgot. You know how I get when I get to talking about books. Okay, so another series. I have this whole series on my shelf. I think there's like 7 or 8 books in this series, and this is the first one. And this is Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. So this is a series like centered around a really big family called the Bergman Brothers, I believe. Yeah, a Bergman Brothers novel. So I've read 2 other books by Chloe Leese, and I loved them. She always does, I feel like her romance, her contemporary romance, but really there's always like an interesting bent. Like, in the other series, it was like a character with, really severe anxiety. I've read 3 books by her. There's a Christmas one she did that was so good. I loved it. Mistletoe Motive. If you can check that out for this Christmas season, that one was so good. I read that last year. But anyway, like her characters always have a little something like ADHD, autism, whatever. So anyway, I appreciate like the representation. And so this book actually, one of the characters has recently become deaf because of like a virus. And so he is dealing with like how to navigate the world after losing his hearing. And the female character is kind of like a pushover who is trying to like learn how to like be assertive and stand up for herself, while also her mother is struggling with severe with cancer. And what was the other thing oh my god, I just lost my thought. But anyway, she's a professional, she's a college athlete, so she's trying to juggle all this stuff. They end up like they're in a class, they have to work together on a project, and they fall in love. But no, this was really great. So this is 4 books I read by Chloe Leese that I have loved. So this is an author that, because I had read the 3 books and really loved them, that's why I just went ahead and bought this whole series. And now it's time I actually like start reading it. I am sure they will all be wonderful. I really love this. What else do we have? Okay, 2 more. Good God. I've really been talking a lot. Okay, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is not, you may notice this is not my usual bread and butter. This is not a contemporary romance or a dark romance or a paranormal romance. This is just sci-fi fantasy. So I don't think there's any romance in this book whatsoever. And so I'll be honest, I got a little bit bored with it because apparently that's what I need. That's what I like to read. I like what I like. I will branch out and read other things, but I really I know this about myself now. Like I need a romance story in there. It can be like mostly fantasy, but I need a little romance. You know, it's like Lord of the Rings, my all-time favorite. Not a romance novel, but there is a little bit of romance in that there Lord of the Rings. So anyway, The City We Became is like it might be called speculative science fiction. I don't know. But it's set like in our modern time, but the boroughs of New York City are embodied by a living like person. It's going to be impossible to explain this premise, but basically like the borough of Manhattan, the borough of Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Long Island. Is Long Island? No, am I missing one? Queens. Look, now I gotta stop. Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. It doesn't matter. Is it Long Island? I feel it. The Bronx. Did I say the Bronx? I can't remember. Anyway, okay. They're all embodied by a person. And then there's some like big bad coming. It's very, you're kind of dropped in and you're like learning as the characters. They're just normal people who become like the borough. So they just like wake up one day and they're like, something is not right. And then they realize like they're connected to like, you know, the Bronx. That character can like feel like something going on in the city. It's very strange. I didn't love it, but that's not to say it's bad. It's just not for me. Like, it was good. Like, the writing is very good. I feel like everything, I've heard very good things about this book from other people. I just like wasn't like really invested or that interested. I finished the book. I had a good time. It just wasn't like a deep love for me. It was kind of like, okay, like that was a thing that I read and did, and I can move on with my life. It ends on a cliffhanger. There's more to the story. I don't know that I care enough to figure out, like, to follow the rest of the story. I don't know. I don't want to say, I know I'm not selling this. I think for the right person, like, this could be wonderful, especially if you have a deep love for New York City, which I do have a connection and a deep love for New York City, but that wasn't enough for me. But this is not my genre. This is not my cup of tea. I only picked this up because I heard it was so good. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I could recognize that it was really, really good. I just didn't like love it personally, if that makes any sense. Okay, last book, Tessa Bailey, Unfortunately Yours. Tessa Bailey, I buy everything. I buy everything she comes out with. And for some reason, this one, like, I bought it like the day it came out, and I just had not gotten around to it. And it was like, why? I would like frequently be like, I need to read that book. I never read that book. So I finally was like, okay, like I need to read this book. So this is set in like Napa Valley, and there's a first book in this series, Secretly Yours, it might be. I'm not sure. Anyway, the first book is a man named Julian. His family owns a winery, and he falls in love with this like chaos gremlin florist. Okay, super cute. Loved it. They have like pen pals. Very cute. You're introduced to his sister, Natalie, in that first book, and she's like come home from New York with her tail between her legs. She's drinking. She's in a depressive episode. Like, her career's over, you know, something's happened. And so you're like, what's her deal? So this is like her book. This is her book. But she meets, so she's had like a spectacular career setback, and she's come home and she's broke, and she's trying to like get herself together. And she meets this man who is new to the area and has like taken over a winery. He's bought a winery. He's trying to make something of it, but his wine is terrible. And so they get off on like a really bad foot, because she, in the first book, she tries the wine and she's like, like, what the heck? And he's like, yeah, that's my wine. Yeah. So they have this like antagonistic relationship, but like they're very attracted to each other. and they end up having to get fake married. There's a reason. She needs her inheritance, like to get her trust, she has to be married, and he needs the clout of her name to get like a small business loan for his winery. So they're like, all right, like this is mutually beneficial. We'll get fake married, and of course they have to like sell it so that the guy will like release her trust fund. So they actually have real feelings for each other and they fall in love. One thing I've noticed about Tessa Bailey, I do love her books. I do have a fun time with her books. But I didn't realize this till recently, like she really does like kind of an insta love with her books. It's more obvious in some than others, but it's always like, I mean, there's instant like lust between her characters, but sometimes like you kind of are like, why is he in love with her? Like what happened? Nothing's like how is he in love with her already? Like, so I've started to realize like the insta lust turns to insta love like very quickly with her books. I still enjoy them. They're still a good time, but if that's something that is like hard for you in romance, like if you need like the build up of the relationship, like you may not enjoy this author as much as others. But I had a really great time with this one, and I actually really did love these two characters. And the male romance, the male lead in this romance is very, very swoony. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, and he's a caretaker. Like, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna go into it, but he was very swoony. I did enjoy this. I had a really good time with this one. So, okay. Dang, I have talked about books enough. I feel like I've been talking forever. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna leave. All right, thanks.